Hello and welcome to this episode, which is called Mind, Body, and Spirit. So it's getting pretty boring making these videos all by myself, especially with the current situation we have. We have a virus on the loose, so we're restricted as to what we can do and who we can hang out with and where we can go. You know, I was thinking, it's a dangerous thing, just kidding, that who better to interview than my horse? So those of you who know me know I've had him. This is the 9th year, and it's been an interesting journey. I'll tell you a little bit about him. So he's a 14-year-old Canadian horse. Canadian horses came over to Canada in the 1600s. They were a gift from the King of France to the Dominion of Canada. And 2 stallions came over, and I think it was about 8 mares. So that was a pretty small group to get this whole strain of Canadians, right? So I found this guy on Kijiji. Now Kijiji is kind of like Craigslist in the States. And I found him, and so I went and looked at him, and I wasn't really sure if I wanted him, and then bought a different Canadian horse, bought him too, and I had to decide between the 2. So I ended up keeping him just because he's taller than the other guy. The other guy was a little shorter and lower to the ground, and I really like a great big stride in a horse, so I kept him. Well, it's been interesting because let's just say he said no a lot. Now, those of you who are horse owners or dog owners or cat owners, you know that your animal, I don't really like that term, your animal, oh, and I'm wearing my helmet because I have like helmet hair, okay, so we just came back from a ride. So, when you have a pet in your life, it does strange things, right? So I have a distinct advantage over a lot of people because the animals can tell me why they're doing strange things. So when I got him back from the trainer, he didn't want to do anything. That was the first year I had him, which was like, 9 years ago. And so I got on his back, he just stood there. So I thought, well, if you're just gonna stand there, I'll just sit here. We didn't do anything. But he always had a real reluctance to move out. And also the horses in the herd picked on him. They would kick him. They would, one horse bit him and took him down, and I think he wanted to kill him. So I sold that horse. good solution, right? But after that, Hobo was always scared. So his name is Hobo. And, his registered name is Green Acres K. Sarah Hobo. So he was the year that the horses' names had to start with an H. And Hobo is a funny name because, he's not a hobo. He has a home. So every year he did weird things, like just weird things. There was one year when I would take selfies with him, or not selfies, I would just take pictures of him, and he would always stick his tongue out and yawn, and he'd look like a donkey and things. He just looked weird. And then, when I wanted to start riding him again, I quit riding for a while. After my husband died, I just didn't have the heart to ride. We were both horse people. And when he died, my love for riding died too, and I just really went into victim mode, and I felt really sorry for myself. And through past life regression, I understood why. He had died in a different life that we were together. He had died in a riding accident, and from the moment he died, and he died instantly, back in I think it was in the 1800s, when we're kind of like British royalty, and we're out for a ride, and he fell off his horse, reared, and he came off his horse and he hit his head. Back in those days, they didn't wear riding helmets unless you were a knight in shining armor. So he died, and from that moment on, I had a lot of grief. And when he died in this life, that grief from that life took over me, and it lasted for 2 years until I had a past life regression hypnotherapy session during the time I took my course to be a past life regression hypnotherapist. And as soon as I saw that life that caused that grief in this life, it was gone. And if people understood that your emotions are holding you back, or their emotions are holding you back, plural, right? People, they would not have to live in such discomfort. So every year I've worked with Hobo, call him Hobbs, he has been weird. And it was only last year that he started to actually talk to me. So you're thinking, well, you're supposed to be a horse listener. Why can't you hear your own horse? Your horse doesn't say anything until it decides. It trusts you enough to talk to you. So Hobo and I have been together in many, many lives. And in many lives, he was abused by the character I was in that life. So one life he had as a lab animal, and I used to have him hooked up to electrodes, and I used to shock him when he was wet to see what would happen to his heart rate. And so in this life, whenever he saw water, he would just freak out. And of course, add me to the equation, and it's like double whammy. Would he have been like that for other people? No, because he doesn't have past life issues with them. Oh, he's thanking me right now. So and he's licking my helmet. So Canadian horses are they're very nibbly, and they're very loving, and they're very kind, but when they say no, they mean no. So it takes a lot to move that horse through that stuff that says that he's saying no. It's just time, right? Patience, perseverance. And so we've had an interesting journey. So last year he showed me why he's so stressed out in the trailer when I haul him somewhere, but when on the way back he's not. He doesn't sweat. But when I take him out of the trailer and I haul him somewhere, he is just like soaked in sweat. And I mean, the trailer is rocking and he's kicking the walls and stuff while we're slowing down or we're stopping. While I'm trailering him, he's just stressed out. He showed me. So from his mind to my mind, he showed me, when I see it, it's like a movie in my mind. He showed me that he had a life where I was the one hauling him, and we got into a wreck, and he was trapped in the trailer, and he was all mangled with the metal and everything, and he died in there. But it took several hours for him to die. So can you imagine when you have a horse that has some weird issue, and there's no reason for it in this life, because he hadn't been trailered until I got him. Maybe I think he might have been trailered to the vets to get gelded. I'm not sure if they hauled him or if they had the vet come, but I know he was done by a vet. But he hadn't, I bought him when he was 6, and he hadn't been ridden. He hadn't been trailered, so he didn't know anything, for him to be a saddle horse. So some people would say, oh, you should have been started early and whatever. He wasn't a big deal to saddle him, but he had real issue with the bit. Like, he would work the bit so much that he would get a sore jaw. So I changed to a straight bit with that no moving parts, and that was better. And then he refused to take that bit, because when this guy says no, he means no. No means no. So I got this bitless bridle from a lady, a wonderful lady. She lives around Comox, BC, on the island. And I'd assisted her one day when she was doing chiropractic adjustments on a friend's horses, and I did Reiki on the horses, and so we worked together. And so as reward payment, she gave me this bitless, and I didn't have Hobo at that time, and I just, oh yeah, that's cool. I had one horse I used with it, a quarter horse mare named Luna, and she was really good. She just needed a bitless until she got her teeth done, because her teeth had like a gouge in them. And so after I got her teeth floated, then she accepted the bit and did really nicely. The vet put a bit path in there, so the bit just sits there like in kind of a groove. So that's kind of cool. That horse really enjoyed a bit. And she was trained by a guy from Argentina that we hired one year to train polo horses for us. So he trained her and did a really nice job, and she was awesome. So, but she was a jumper. She didn't like to be caught either. Actually sold it to a really nice family. So Hobo has had all these issues, and I am lucky enough that I can see what is causing it. And this year he's actually started to talk to me. Like today on the trail, he smelled some horse poop, and he makes these trail jokes now. He'll smell the poop, he'll stop, and he'll smell the poop, and he'll give me an estimate about how old it is, which I know isn't true. It's like a joke. It's the first time he's ever made a joke, and it's really funny. So some of you are wondering about the helmet I'm wearing. It's a helmet made by Back on Track. It has, it's been developed by, I believe it's a brain surgeon, just for protection of your head should you ever come off your horse. I wear a helmet for 2 reasons. One, I'm a single parent right now, it won't be forever, but I can't afford to break my head. I can afford to buy a new helmet, but like if you ever you're in the woods by yourself, because I ride by myself, and your horse spooks and you come off your horse, you may not get up off the ground. I've come off, I had this one horse years ago, and I trained him, and he stopped dead once when we were at a gallop, and I flew over his head, and I didn't have a helmet. We got a black eye out of that. And then another time, he bucked me hard. Like I counted 5 seconds of $5, and I flew over his head, and I was wearing a helmet then, and I thought, this one's gonna hurt. So I broke my helmet, and I never did that silly thing. I shouldn't have ridden that day. But sometimes we don't listen to our intuition. Am I right? And then bad things happen. So, but we had just bought a new horse trailer, and I wanted to take that trailer out to the dunes outside of Grand Prairie and go riding. And yeah, that was a mistake. So he just thanked me again, and he said he has a few things to say. So this is cool, and he's joining in, right? He said he's really grateful that I've taken the time and had the patience and perseverance to help him work through his issues, because I always knew he was a really awesome horse. However, he has done some very strange things. He's like, I know. So, I do these horse sessions. I love doing them. I do on-site sessions in my area, and I'll do like sessions from a image sent to me on your phone, and it's phenomenal what your horses can tell you. So there's some other things that he likes and he asks for. So he really likes his bitless, and he likes the webbing halter. He doesn't really like the rope halter that I have, so the web halter has flat, so it's different pressure rate on their pole. He's very sensitive. He had a bad reaction with a sedative once, and he said, tell them about my hip. I will. And so he like sweated, and he was shaking, and he's like, ugh. So there's an opiate in it. So he's so sensitive, he can't ever have a sedative that has an opiate in it, because it he has a bad reaction to it. It stresses him out. And I just heard that in that lab that I had that life with him, where he was a test horse, and I was he said to me, I was this dummy, I was doing terrible things in the name of science. That's where that reaction came from. So when your horse has a reaction, or your pet has a reaction to something, chances are they had that stimulus in a different life, and it's causing stress and fear in this life. So if you have issues and you don't even know what to do, call me. Just go to my website and you can book a session there, or my Facebook page, or on my Instagram page. So when you actually get on the right track with your horse, they're phenomenal. Like, he has this weird thing. He only likes me to get on his right side, so I do. And if I get on his left side, he just won't even stand near the mounting aid that I have. So I was like, okay, well, if I can get on your right side and you don't move out, then that's what I'll do. So I do that, and he appreciates it. And he said, not really. He says he's reluctant to carry a rider, because he says, I know you're going to be heavy. But he gave me compliment, because he said, today you stayed off my back. So I used to endurance race. So you stand off the back of your horse, so you're not like continually hitting their back, because then it's like jamming the underside of the saddle, like especially the gullet area, on their he's saying on their hips and their withers. That's where they feel it. So I stood up off his back, and it felt really good. And I've been doing weight training for the last couple of years, and I know I have a lot more strength when I'm riding. See how nice he is? Do you know, if you ever caught any of my videos from before, he was like, I heard, ignorant and pushy. So ignorant means not knowing any better, and pushy, he wasn't being rude. He was just saying, I don't want to be on the camera, because in that life where he was my test animal, I took pictures of him and videos all the time to show the other scientists, and I heard I had a panel. I had to present in front of a panel. I had to show them how these situations, cause stress and injuries in horses and things like that. So, yes, we have had lives where we have not been very good. And it's okay, because I read in this book, and I also know this, I understand this, that life on this planet is a matter of balance, of dark and light, positive and negative, because without negative, we wouldn't even know what positive is, right? Have you ever had a terrible day? I'm going to use a bad word. I'm going to say, have you ever had a shit day, and you kept on dwelling on how shitty your day was, and it kept on getting worse and worse? it's because you're creating abundance of a shit day. So if you have a day where you say, well, this wasn't very good, but I know I had something to learn from it. I'm hearing from from spirit itself that you were meant to switch your mindset and recognize that, yeah, well, there is a negative. I don't have to dwell there, or I'm not meant to dwell there. So that's about that. So he's like, getting back to our ride today, he said, I really enjoyed our ride, Karen. And he said, in that life where you were a scientist, your name was Nola or Nolan. He said, I was, oh, this is interesting. I was androgynous, and I was like a transvestite, and I was really angry because I was raised in a religious home, and I felt God was angry and punished me with both genders because I had, like, you know, I had both parts down there, and it just really made me angry and confused me, and I was teased and made fun of and everything. So I took my anger out on the animals in the lab, except for this one. I heard I was worse to him because I hated him because he was beautiful. He was a mare, and he was oh my God, he was just a beautiful Lipizzaner mare who hadn't done well, never gave birth to any babies, so they just gave her away to pretty much a person who just sold her to science. And so that in that life he had switched many hands, well, several, like 3 hands, like so the original place where all those horses are born, and then went to someone who swore they would take good care of her and never do anything bad to her. The person had no scruples. It was a friend that I have now. So, oh, no, he's gonna eat my vest. He wants me to talk about my vest. So I wear this vest. It's actually a running vest made by New Balance, which I wear New Balance shoes. I love them. They're so good. Like, if you are a runner, you haven't tried out New Balance shoes, there's a plug for New Balance, right? Try them out, because the nice thing about them is they don't have a seam right. I don't know if you can see it, like right here on this, you know where people develop bunions, there's no seam there. So if you have a seam on your running shoes there, it'll, as you run, it'll put stress on that and create bigger moments of pain. So I wear my riding vest because it's reflective, and as I ride down to the trails around here, I'm riding on the road, or sometimes I ride beside the road, and I want that reflection, people to see that, hey, I'm visible, because he's black. He's like, sometimes people don't see me. How would they not? You know how some people don't pay attention, so that's just to show people that, hello, there's a rider here. And if you are not a rider and you don't understand horses, please don't ever honk your horn at someone who's riding their horse. Horses are flight animals, right? They're prey. They don't like loud noises and things like that. And the other thing too, if you ever come up behind a horse trailer and you're riding their ass, don't. Because that person driving that truck, hauling that trailer, cannot stop as fast as you can, because it's got all that weight behind it. So we who haul horses, we really want you to be careful around us, because we don't want anything to happen to our family, right? That's riding in the back, and they're trusting us to take them somewhere safely. It's just a little information for you about people who haul. And I mean, that goes for people who haul like trucks as well, like, or big trucks with semi-trailers. They can't stop like you can in a small vehicle. So just be aware. Just keep a wide, long distance from them, wide circumference, and everything will be fine. So anything else to say? Oh yes. So he said that he's really happy that I haven't given up on him. And my saying was, I couldn't sell you anyways because no one would want to buy you because you don't do anything. Like, he doesn't want to do anything. You have to understand, he was like that because of me. So he came into this life with me so that he could clear up all that those past life issues, and they're all emotional, right? So our emotions hold us back in our lives. And once he shows me what the issue is, then it's pretty much clear. And then he knows he can trust me, because I say to him, you're just an acreage horse. You don't have a job except to carry me, like occasionally. You know, you have a nice pasture, you get really good food, especially after we go for a ride. He always gets a step 3 mixed with a little Hoffman's minerals, it gives them an incentive, right? I've been a good boy. We went for a ride. I get the goodies that I really like, but it's also good for him, right? So, because he needs some minerals, because since we moved here, the fronts of his feet started cracking. So I was like, there's got to be a reason why. So the other day, he showed me an image in my mind why only 3 of his feet crack. Only 3, and the 4th one is fine. The 4th one is perfect. So he showed me he had a life where he had been tied by 3 legs, and he had been thrown on the ground for them to brand him. But something happened and he died. So he had an adverse reaction to whatever. I don't know. I heard it was the anesthetic, because he's a fighter. Like, seriously, if this horse doesn't want to do something, he won't. It doesn't matter what you do to him, he won't do it for you. So in this life, he's had an issue with that his back right leg. And he showed me that he had a life where he had that whole, you know what chicken leg looks like? Like the hole with the thigh and everything. He had that whole piece ripped off his body, and I heard it was in battle. He got it stuck in some sort of, like a track on a tank or something. He's a war horse. Holy cow. And guess who was his rider? It wasn't me, but it was one of my friends who's had a lot of lives as a soldier. I heard I can say her name. It's Pauline, such a good friend. She's a wonderful horse friend of mine. So he says that he has moved through a lot of stuff with me, and I heard from Spirit that this year, at this time in my life, I'm actually allowed to enjoy him. I'm allowed to enjoy where I live, and I'm just allowed to enjoy my life. Only if I make sure I leave the negativity behind. So negativity can appear in your life in certain ways. It can be people who are your friends that you ended up being friends with because you felt sorry for them. That's a pattern of behavior I had earlier on in my life, so I quit doing that because I was like, I'm not even enjoying these relationships, and I'm pretty sure they're not either, because they weren't very nice to me. So then the other thing to release negativity in your life is just be aware that, you may have people that you're related to and you feel obligated to talk to them. You don't have to be like that, because you don't have to talk to anyone if you don't want to, except for the people in your household, right? You gotta talk to your kids or your spouse or whoever. Maybe you have an extended family, you have a mama or dad living with you. Obviously you have to talk to them, because that's just, a sign of love and respect. So speaking of talking, I think it was last year or the year before, he said, it was 2 years ago, I was working with him in the round pen, and he said to me, I don't like it when I don't hear your voice. I don't like you talking mind to mind, because I used to just say, well, I don't even need to talk to you. We can just do it telepathically. And he's like, no, I want to hear your voice. So then I ended up having to talk to him, which was interesting, because I just thought, this is a win. I can just, stay in my mind and we can converse that way. He's like, no, I just want to be a horse. I don't want you to be your test subject or your dummy in this life. I just want you to be like a regular person, and I want you to talk to me just like I'm your friend, and he is my friend. So he's wearing, I'm just going to tilt my camera a little bit and show you something. There, let's see, there. So he's wearing back on track boots, and so I bought these boots for him because he had that problem with his leg, and he also had the splits on the front of his feet. And I know, like with energy work, that when you have something like that, that's energy, it's kind of like blown out. I heard that's not right, but that was my understanding at the time. They just said that that's stuck energy. So to get that stuck energy moving through his leg, through I heard the pastern, through the ankle, through the fetlock, and through the hoof itself, you need something that stirs up that energy, because his was quite stagnant. And remember, he was a horse that said no a lot. He just kind of refused to do things, and he just said no a lot. And while someone had mentioned, you should use spurs, I was like, no, I think I'm going to just work through this without any aids like that, because he is mad. And he says, no, don't eat the camera. He says no a lot. So I thought, you know what? So I just have to work with him a little more. And today He was awesome. No spurs involved. Oh, and he said thank you. And don't eat my camera, dude. So, what was I talking about? Yeah, he says he really loves his treats, and he said all horses should be treated this nicely. And I know that horses are, like the friends that I have, they treat their horses like they're made of gold. And he says he doesn't want to be treated real specially. Oh, there's another thing that he had, a weird quirk. So I installed a hot tap on my outside tap, like, and I have a cement pad on the other side of my house. And I wanted just to give him a warm bath on like hot days when he was dirty, or after a ride, like not today because today's cold, but if I ride him on a day where it's going to be hot, I just hose him down with a nice warm shower, right? Not cold, because can you imagine? Can you imagine what it would feel like? Someone hosed you down with cold water, like from your well, because I, have well water, and it's cold when it comes out. So I put that on there, and he was scared to death of that hose. And, I had that life, right, where he was the test animal, but I also had a life where I was I'm going to go like this, horse trainer. Yeah, I wasn't a very good one because I used to beat my horses, and he was one of them. I used to beat him with a garden hose, and it was black. Oh, I heard it was green. But it was, so when he sees the hose, he's thinking, oh my God, she's going to give me a beating because she has the same energy. And I was like, no, I don't hit you. But I used to. So when you have a horse that's recognizing your energy, and it thinks you're going to do something because it's holding on to that energy because it wants to be safe, because that's what your subconscious mind does, whether you're a horse, cat, or dog, or person. People hold on to that more, he's saying, than horses do. They have this memory that comes up. They see the hose, they see you, they feel your energy, they think, oh, there's the hose hitter, there's something to be scared of. Yet, when he feels that warm water on him, he's like, oh, feels really good. I don't think she's going to hurt me this time. So the more times he enjoys his shower, his warm shower, and no mishaps, like he's not going to be hurt by the hose, then it will reduce that anxiety less and less and less and less, as long as there's no mishap, right? One time he did get the hose wrapped around his leg, and he's like, whoa, he got really scared. But the last time I bathed him, he was just like boss. He loved his shower, and he let me hose him all over. He even said, do my head. And so, sometimes people, it takes a while for your pet to come around, and don't give up. Definitely contact me for a session for your horse. I love working with horses. I do really well. I've been doing it for over 10 years. And that's how this whole thing started. We got a horse given to us off the track. I knew exactly what to do. She had an injured leg. I did that. I used a comfrey poultice on it over 7 days. And that wound on her leg just closed up. It was nice and pink. There was no scar there. And at the end, when I turned her out in the back pasture with my other mares, she was along the fence one night, and I was walking the hayfield. It's my evening walk. I was a new mom, and I just needed to walk. And I heard her say thank you, like from her mind to mine. From her mind to my mind, she was like standing sideways along the fence. I was like, whoa. She thanked me for helping her with her leg, but she was also thanking me for giving her a new home and hope. And she got to just be in a pasture with other horses. So it was just a blessing to have her help me walk this path, right? And so the horse sessions turned into cat and dog sessions, healings, communication sessions, and that evolved into spirit sessions where I channel your ancestors or your guides and your angels and give you reading, especially on your current status. Then that evolved into coaching sessions where I work with you on your mind, body, spirit of your life to help you get on the path that you want, that feels good, right? So, geez, all that from a horse. He just thanked me again. Isn't he a sweetheart? He is so funny, and he's so photogenic. He is just beautiful. You'll probably be seeing a lot more of him. And I have other horses lined up that I'm going to be working on, and I'm going to show you what's going on with them, as well as be their voice, so they have a voice and they can tell you why they are having the issues they are. Thank you so much for watching. My next video will be on the mind.